Perhaps, Anna, if you can start, and then we will give the final intervention of these tables to Stavros. Please, Anna.
I agree with those who have said that soft power is not enough, hard power is important. But actually most important is to have smart power, as it has been outlined. And smart power requires hard power, soft power, and political will. And we haven't had enough of the three. We have had dumb power, because this is what Europe in crisis projects to the world, is instability, not the force of peace, progress, and progressive stability that indeed we would want it to project. And this crisis, we cannot detract from that. We have to take lessons from the crisis. This crisis is about the basics. It's about, indeed, if we have stick to our values, if we have enacted them, or if we have abandoned them or been lax and contaminated by others' values that are not progressive values. And I think this crisis being about deregulation, being about weakening the states, and indeed for the purpose of serving criminality, be it in the financial system or elsewhere, is actually a great evidence that indeed we have had dumb power functioning. And the hardware, part of it is because the hardware is really not there. And the hardware for the European role, construction and role in the world is, first of all, solidarity. There hasn't been. Then convergence. There hasn't been in the economic field. This translates in everything. This projects in EU's policy, foreign policies. Even now, we like to see ourselves as projecting democracy, rule of law, human rights. We're not projecting that anymore. We are even letting the world suspect that democracy it's at stake in Europe as a consequences of the economic crisis. So I think we need indeed to reflect on the way this projects in our foreign policy. Libya has been mentioned. I happen to be the special rapporteur of the Parliament for Libya. I happen to have been going to Libya every month. I just was there the last weekend. Sorry to tell you, but the work that I would like that Europe would be doing in Libya in terms of enabling the civil society to start building democratic institutions is not being done by Europe. It's more is done by NDI than Europe, despite all the rhetoric. Sorry to tell you, and despite all the good, the good intentions. And I'm not going to bother you with our contradictions. For instance, if there is one field where I think that Lady Ashton cares, the High Representative, is actually Palestine and Israel. But is she making a difference? Are we making a difference? Not only her, to be fair. I think she cares. But what? Is she making a difference? Are we being bold? Are we just letting ourselves be bound by the common denominator, therefore we don't make any difference? Are we, our contradictions in dealing with the new powers, the emerging powers, what are the powers of this world? From China, Russia, or those who have an interest for us for other reasons, Azerbaijan because of oil resources and so on. Or even, look at ourselves. Have we come clean on the way we collaborated with the Bush administration on the so-called CIA torture flights? This really has tremendous projections in our credibility to actually project ourselves and as a smart power in terms of foreign policy. And if we had the Security Council to take a decision tomorrow on Syria, to exercise the responsibility to protect on Syria, would we then be prepared to actually act? Then we need the muscle, we need the military muscle, and this is something that we don't get overnight, it's built up. So in all these things, I think it leads me to say that we need to be able to affirm Europe's strategic interests. Europe's mission in this world, this multipolar world, is indeed to conquer, to bring others to have a rules-based multipolar world. And in that process, we need not to be shy about affirming our strategic interests, European interests, and they have to be more than the national interests of that or another member state. That is where the Europe's vision is indeed necessary, and political will. In this process, I would say there are two central questions. On the economic field, regulating and to control and eliminate tax havens. We won't sort out this economic crisis and the financial system if we don't put the question of tax havens at the center of our action in the economic field. And then in the political field, the reform of the Security Council. We cannot have a functioning multilateral architecture without a properly representative and effective Security Council. That entails, by the way, both of them, our own member states, making concessions and indeed self-criticism of their action and detracting from their self-interest action. I think we have, as it has been said, a number of tools. But one that we really need, it's also integrity. Integrity of the political actors, integrity of the political decision makers, including in our own family. We were contaminated by the neoliberal thinking. That's why we are here. It's no point just to blame the Americans for starting the crisis. We aligned ourselves in that. We were too lax and we were contaminated. And I remember Comrade Papandreou's telling us how he was indeed thinking that part of the problem in Greece, and I am one of the people who do not subscribe to that line of that we are not Greece. We are all Greece. We in Portugal signed a declaration saying that we are all Greece. Definitely the question of integrity is essential. We cannot be thinking about proposing progressive policies internally or externally if we are not demanding with the credibility of our own political decision makers and actors.